Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chums. 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves. And today, chums, it's a cup of tea with the old Captain of the Steves. And today, chums, I want to be talking a little bit about No Man's Sky. Now, I done a video the other day where I talked about what I think is going to be coming in the summer update. And in that video, I touched on one of my favourite times of the year, which is Halloween when it comes to No Man's Sky. And I mentioned that there could be a creepy update to No Man's Sky. Now, a lot of people are probably thinking, well, is there always creepy updates around Halloween time? There is and there isn't. A lot of the time there is. And I'll show you the last one that we had. So let's jump on over to the Tinterwebs. Okay, so this was the last update we had, and somebody inside of the comments on my last one mentioned all the objects from the Cursed haven't come into fruition as yet. So if I hit play on this trailer and mute it and just talk over it, you know what, let's just make this a little bit larger on the old screen, shall we? So the Cursed brought into the actual realm these weird jellyfish creatures. And we had these elixirs to sort of fend them off or to prevent them from breaking into our realm through the boundaries. Now, this ship was one of the rewards, and it was called the Boundary Herald. And this Boundary Herald has got boundary in the name, first of all. So there are these objects in game at the moment called boundary failures, and I'm wondering whether maybe we might be able to go into the void and see these cursed creatures and do combat with them. I kind of see the autophage and the sentinels as being a firewall, and I feel that the Void Mother is there to enhance this firewall to stop the void from breaking through barriers. And I think these boundaries and barriers are failing. And it's also like the visage, the head that you see inside this video. It's got all these tentacles hanging down from the face. It looks very Cthulhu-esque. I'm wondering whether we might see an organic race with these Cthulhu-type looking faces, but also the flesh helmet type visages as well. In a recent patch notes list, it does mention that the eye of one of these flesh mask helmets had an error with it. So I kind of feel that Hello Games is playing with that flesh mask, and perhaps these are biological entities is what I'm thinking. But you can see here, when you look at this first line, it says, our last update saw players enjoying a nice chilled time, fishing in No Man's Sky, the Aquarius update. Our next update couldn't be more different. As we approach Halloween, we're embracing the spookier side of No Man's Sky's universe, drawing upon the threads first established way back in Atlas Rises, when the ancient portals begin to open and the boundaries between realities first began to crumble. So they're still crumbling, and we have got these boundary failures, like I mentioned, people, that currently have no rhyme or reason. I'll jump into game in a minute and I'll show you one of those boundaries, but I feel that the realm behind the boundaries is going to have all of this cursed stuff in, and I feel it's going to be labelled as being the void. Now, I think the Void Mother has the name the Void Mother because she's holding back the void. I don't think she is the queen of the void. I kind of feel that she's holding back the void using the sentinels and the autophages as a sort of intergalactic police. And us travellers are slowly unlocking this boundary and slowly doing things perhaps that we shouldn't. I feel the Void Mother could turn up inside of the summer update, and she could be here to warn us of the impending perils of the void. Almost like Hades in a roundabout way, if you want to tie it to Greek mythology. In fact, you know, there could be a character that might appear called Hades, for all we know, or Cerberus or something, if they want to keep that Greek vibe going. But I kind of feel that the void is going to become actualized maybe around October, Halloween time, and I feel we're going to be getting all these creepy jellyfish creatures appearing, and we're going to be doing battle with them. They're too nice for Hello Games just to put them into an expedition and then discard them. I feel that these things need to come in and have their whole realm exposed. But not only them, I feel that maybe they could add in some other new enemies, maybe even NPC type ones that we could do battle with. A lot of people have asked for NPCs that we can do battle with for some time, and a little bit of planetary on foot combat overhaul, even though we've had it with Sentinels a couple of times now, and we've also got corrupted Sentinels. I feel the corrupted Sentinels could have been corrupted from the void. I mean, a lot of them have got this gooey black stuff that drips from them anyway, so you know, maybe they could just add a little bit more organic matter to the actual corrupted Sentinels to show that they've been corrupted by the void. But yeah, this sort of visage is what I'm thinking. Maybe a new organic race making its way into No Man's Sky that might look a little bit more like they're from the depths of the abyss, have that sort of like underwatery vibe, organic vibe. And it's like our living ships. We've got living ships, we've got living frigates. What we don't have right now are living freighters, and our living ships right now don't have any weapons that are parallel to the positron ejector or the other weaponry that the normal ships get. All they have right now is the equivalent of phase cannons and photon cannons. That's it. Phase beams and photon cannons, that's all they have. They don't have all the other lovely weapons that the other ships have. So I feel that we need a load of organic modules coming in. I feel it's about high time that Hello Games put in something to do with the living ships and the modules that we have. But not only that, where they came from, how they came to pass, and their rhyme or reason inside of this universe, and back it up with lore. And I feel now is the opportune time this year, Halloween time. Anyway, let's jump into game and let's have a look at more tenuous links. So another oddity is Ariadne. Now, I've gone over this a few times. In No Man's Sky's summer weekend lore that was all written by an actual writer called Greg Buchanan, I put a link to his website down in the video description. They actually paid for this writer to come in and write a storyline where Ariadne went into the void. She disappeared into the void aboard a dark freighter. And what we have now, standing in her place, is actually an imposter. This is not the real Ariadne. So, chums, on this website of Greg R. Buchanan, there used to be the full dialogue. You could actually read every single piece of writing that he put into this, but now it's more of a synopsis. So I can't bring you up the whole lore like I suggested. So yeah, a little bit odd, but it does give you sections. And like I was mentioning, it does give you a synopsis. Countless worlds teem with life in the void between simulations. The ghosts of fallen empires drift among the stars, while planets bloom with a verdant possibility and lurking strangeness. Abandoned freighters and distant installations whisper of corruption at the heart of reality. The survivors of free, proud alien species huddle in space stations and isolated outposts, hiding from the drones that stalk the countless worlds, protecting even the very rocks. Until one day, you hear static coming from the depths of your ship. Kazert, help, Kazert. There is a transmission, one of your own kind, needing your help, asking you to find them before it's too late. What does it all mean to live if you know that life will come to an end? The dream long past, long forgotten, screams for remembrance, for the final answer to final question. Who are you? Who are you? Greg Buchanan, awesome writer. But yes, all the weekend mission lore from the few years ago, I can't find it on this site anymore. But I do have a playlist on it. I did put together a whole playlist on the weekend mission lore. In fact, I done a summary video as well. You can find them inside the video description links. And if I remember, I'll try to put one above here right now as well. There we go, people. Enjoy. Now, I could put up all of the lore on screen around this, but I would suggest going over to Greg Buchanan's website. I try and find the exact link to the summer lore that he written, because it's freaking awesome. Yeah, my grammar's not the best, is it, people? Anyway, Hello Games has also put in this teleporter, which takes you up to this higher mezzanine super darn quick to get you over to this autophage guy here, this assembled construct. Now, it looks nothing like any of the other autophages. It looks rather sinister, if you ask me. But I'm wondering whether this robot, this assembled construct, in a future update might give us the ability to run missions into the void, perhaps to recover echoes and notes, to rebuild the real Ariadne, for one, but not only that, perhaps in future to give us some really cool ship modifications, or even multi-tool modifications, new skins, new textures, new looks for stuff, because that would make sense to me. But anyways, sound off in the comments, let me know if that makes sense to you. And he's right next to Tethys as well, that's got this underwater vibe anyhow. I mean, look at him. It almost looks like one of the visages that I'm on about. He looks like he's straight from the frickin' void himself, doesn't he? So having these two next to each other kind of makes me think that's done purposely for a reason. Anyway, we'll get to the other visage in a moment that I'm on about, the actual the head one. In fact, I'd go there quickly before I go to my actual boundary failure, I think. Right, so under this stairwell over here, we have our tainted metal vendor or scrap dealer. If you head on over to these guys, they actually have a load of stuff that you can purchase, Kate. So if you head on over here, purchase old scrap, you've got all this scrap at the top, which is lovely. But scroll on down a little bit and you get all this Halloween stuff. Now, he only takes tainted metal for this stuff. But one of the things that he has here is a horrific flesh helmet. Yeah. And that's the one inside of recent patch notes that Hello Games said that the eye texture is a little bit discombobulated at the moment and it needs a fix. Well, why would they discombobulate it? Why is it broken? I reckon they're doing some work on it. So that's a little bit of speculation from me. Let's go put that flesh helmet on for a second and I'll show you what I mean. We have this one, which although it's like a Cthulhu mask, look at the actual name of it. It's called Boundary Horror. Now, we got this with the Boundary Herald ship. I think the boundaries are collapsing. And I think this is a hint at that. And I feel that the whole Cursed expedition was a hint at what's to come in the Halloween of this year. And I think it's going to put into the game canon what we saw inside the Cursed expedition as reality. I also feel that these could be part of that same race, the Brood Mother's Maw. Now, the Brood Mother and that sort of story arc kind of feels like it's part of a virus. So I feel that the Sentinels and also the Autophage are part of a firewall system. That's like a police to hold back the virus in a way that a firewall or antivirus would. I kind of feel that us as travellers, we're more of a checksum. We go around renaming things, almost like we're defragging the system. I feel that we're like a system cleanup crew. But I feel that the actual Sentinels and the Autophage, I think, are the pure antivirus. Now, I think these guys and the Brood Mother, the worms, I think worms are worm viruses. I think these guys are like Trojan viruses, because these used to be travellers that slowly turned into these visages. So I feel that these might actually come in at some stage as well. I feel that these are part of that virus. I think they're part of the void. I think the void is a virus of the simulation, and I think it's being actualized into these and being brought in. That's what I reckon anyway, people. And I think that will work really well with the lore. Okay, chums, now to get this head to appear, you have to actually change yourself to a traveller from an anomaly, but this is their flesh helmet. So if I just hover over here, horrific flesh helmet. And I feel this could still be part and parcel of the same race. Now, this looks very much like what you see on the derelict freighters, those little bugs that scutter with the similar one eye. They also look a little bit like what you see in the abyss under the water. Those sort of like ones that pull you in. You have to tap square to get away from them or whatever. I feel that the water has a lot to do with it. Where it says don't drink of the water, I feel that they could mutate you into these guys. I kind of feel that we might get some sort of expedition around where this horrific flesh helmet comes from and why we shouldn't drink of the water. More to do with the occultists that drink of the water purposely. I feel that we might get another expedition around that sort of brings all this to fruition around the void. Okay, chums, so behind me is a boundary failure. Now, these things have their own lore. If you haven't visited all of these and gone through the lore, then you're in for a treat. I suggest you hunt them out. You're going to find them on sort of like these weird biome planets, you know, the ones with the exotic trophies on that you can bring back for your base. Yeah, you're going to find them on there. They're usually quite plentiful. You can do it all on one planet, and they're fairly easy to find. You just hover over the planet and slowly scan for them. But downloading the data is going to give you some really gnarly lore that breaks the fourth wall. It talks about boundaries to even our own realm. It's pretty darn freaking cool. And then when you get to the end, you just get this ominous message. Error, Atlas, error, error, error. They see you. Now, this is very much in line with the Void Mother lore, where it says she is watching you through their eyes, or she's watching, you know, that sort of thing. They see you. It kind of ties into that, and I feel that these things are going to have a lot to do with maybe entering into the Void. Now, we've got two ships. We've got the living ship that at the moment, like I mentioned before, I've called mine the Red Devil. You've got a lot of modules, but you haven't got a massive amount of modules. And these are called organs, and this is more called the organ chamber rather than technology modules. And what we don't have right now is the equivalent of, like I mentioned before, the positron ejector, or the other weapons that a lot of the other ships have, like one of my favourites, missiles and rockets. It doesn't have anything like that. What it does have is the equivalent of like phase beams and photon cannons. That's pretty much all it has. So it's very underpowered when it comes to a weapon choice. I mean, it's quite a powerful ship. I mean, you can see there all of its stats. It's not a bad ship by and large, but it doesn't have a lot of choice when it comes to weaponry. It's been kind of forgotten and backseated and shelved for some time. And the actual quest to get this is huge, and it's awesome. I kind of feel that it could do with a bit of a rework at the final stage, because there's a lot of people that have trolled the final planet where you get this now. They've built bases all over the last rendezvous point to get this ship, and sometimes it can be really fiddly to get it. You have to report like about 12 bases before you can actually get your living ship now. It's become crazy. I think Hello Games could do with re-looking at the living ship quest line for that one reason, if not, oh well, there's others as well. It's got a lot of time gates in there, which are okay, but it'd be nice to tie those into doing something else rather than just sitting around twiddling your thumbs. Maybe going around and getting a few organs for different weapons or something, why those time gates are happening. That might be an idea. The other ship is this one, which got given to us during the Cursed Expedition as a reward, which is the Boundary Herald. Now, this ship itself has got a strange designation, which is just 7HW24, which is actually a decal that's on this ship. I don't know whether it means all too much. There was somebody that sent me through some tenuous links to some Lovecraft sort of like backstories and stuff. But you can see here it's got all the weapons that we could ever want, like the infra knife. There's the positron ejector. But yeah, you can pretty much put any weapon you want in the side of this kitty. It's freaking awesome. But anyway, this is the Boundary Herald. Now, considering that these are boundary failures, and these boundary failures, if I fly away from it, turn the ship around, imagine you go down to one of these boundary failures, you activate it, it spins into life. Oh, I've lost the dang thing now. Where's it gone? Darn it! Man, it was right there! It was right there! Oh yeah, let's just fly over this way a little bit. Is this my base up here? Because that's my spider base. I built a little spider on a cobweb up there. But if I fly down this way, then I know roughly where that boundary is. It should be over here. There it is. Now, these things are big enough to fly your ship through. Here you go. Let's do it. Easy and peasy. You could get your hauler through here. Not a problem. Zoom. And then pow. We're into another realm, is what I'm thinking, people. Hokey pokey. So the other thing I mentioned was we haven't got living freighters, but we've got living ships, which I just showed you down on the planet. But then we've also got these, which are living frigates. And these things are pretty darn freaking crazy. I mean, when you look at these, it does look like they've got some sort of mouth or opening in between their front end here. I was wondering whether we might be even able to go onto these ships at some stage. You know, like how we can repair our current frigates. I was wondering whether we might be able to fly into the mouths of these things at some stage. I mean, I can't really get you a better look at this one's mouth. There we go. That's about the best I can get. But that's easily big enough to fit a ship in. And all of them have got this thing on them. So it does make me wonder, or whether they might actually give birth to living ships themselves in the future from that mouth type opening. But yeah, these are our living frigates. And now imagine something 4 times, 6 times the size of that as a freighter. That would be freaking epic, wouldn't it? Heck yes it would. Well, I think it would, people. I honestly do. So I kind of feel that all these things, these organic things, are kind of variants of viruses. It's like the giant worms, worm virus, the flesh helmets and the organic races, and also the brood mother, how she's turning travellers into their own brood. I see those as some sort of Trojan virus. These frigates, you know, they could be another variant of a virus, and then maybe the freighters some other variant of virus. I mean, we've got loads of different viruses, haven't we, when it comes to phishing and scamming and all sorts of other stuff. But, you know, that could also be linked into the pirates, and also that dead pirate ship that we've got. You know, that could even play into it. It's nice to think that the simulation could be tied to real stuff. Another thing that's very odd is these abandoned space stations as well. As you fly into these, look at the screen. It says, "Welcome home." And then I named this NMSA Damash Smash. It's just the name of the system. But welcome home. Very unusual indeed. I'm wondering whether if we are given some sort of rhyme or reason to give in a space station, whether it's going to be these ones, and we can nurse the system back to life somehow from being abandoned to having a race, and maybe even claim a space station as our own, maybe using a station override. But I kind of feel that we're going to get something happen with these abandoned stations in time. I do. I think something's going to happen here. I think they're still going to look like this originally, but I think maybe we might get a console in the center place here that we interact with, and maybe bring it back into fruition. Survey it like we did with like the Utopia sort of expedition, and bring it back to life. Maybe sell it off to one of the races, and then, you know, it bursts into life. You can sell it to the Viking, Gek, Korvax, and it becomes one of their systems. And once you've done that, this sort of populates back into life, and you get an economy here, and all the little outposts start appearing. Maybe there could be a nice animation for that with like these little drop pods. I don't know. But yeah, I kind of feel that the abandoned systems will play into a giant Halloween update. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, don't know. But I think that could be on the cards as well, peeps.
Captain Steve, oh Captain Steve, oh Captain. Heck yeah, why not hit that like and subscribe? Thank you very much.
Now, the reason why I see this as being kind of like this part of the virus is you can see all these little spores floating around inside of here. Now, for a start off, space is a vacuum. I don't know why we'd have all these little strange spores here, but it looks very sort of Stranger Things. Now, they only added in these spores within like the last 2 years or so, maybe even the last year. But inside of these abandoned stations, you get all this sludge. A bit like you get in abandoned buildings. All this sort of stuff going on. And look at it, it's freaking everywhere. It kind of feels like the virus has crept into our universe inside of these abandoned systems. Now, the cursed entities, all those jellyfish, could start appearing inside of these systems. And maybe after you've defeated a certain amount, then perhaps that's how you can revert the system. Really unsure, but at the same time, you've got to admit the actual link to the virus and to the void in a roundabout way. I think the void realm is where the virus has started. Perhaps started due to the destruction of Korvax Prime, and now it's known as Void Prime, and that's why the Void Mother, the mother was born on the destruction of said planet. I feel that's how she got given her name. Sound off in the comments. Let us know whether you feel that that ties nicely into the lore. Hopefully you read all of that Greg Buchanan stuff around how Ariadne went missing into the void and all the other tenuous links to the void and perhaps Null. Because Null has that light bulb type head, and there was mention of entities, the Korvax, playing about with the void, making a simulated version of the void. And they lost their heads and they became orbs almost like Null. I think Null might have something to do with the void as well as Ariadne, and I think both of them have maybe rhyme and reason to becoming perhaps the Void Mother, or if not the Void Mother herself, emissaries of the Void Mother. Or those that were chasing maybe Artemis inside of the void. He mentioned that he was being followed by NPC type hominid bipedal type people inside of the void. Just as a little side nugget of information, the latest part inside the Quicksilver store is now up for grabs, so if you head on over here you can pick up this, the Flowering Chillwood. Yes, 500 Quicksilver. We've only got the Chillwood left to go. Then after that is the Peeping Fauna banner and decal, and after that we get a load of jungle plants to put at our base. I say a load, there's like 3 I think. But yeah, pretty darn freaking gnarly stuff, people. Now inside of the Quicksilver store you can purchase a cake of void eggs. An anomalous egg. The shell is tough and leathery and twitches when touched. A faint tapping can be heard coming from within. From time to time, it appears to sing. So this is another thing with the whole singing and music and the dissonant systems. And then the fact that we've got infested planets where all this sort of virus is seeping into our universe. I feel that that started to happen when we started to get the void eggs and run in the void mission. So I feel that the Travellers have helped trigger this virus into our own iteration. I feel that the Void Mother, when she does appear, is going to give us a stern telling off for having said void eggs. But as you know, when we actually made unison with the actual living frigates, that unison was quite a positive one. You know, there was a whole thing of taking out the child of Helios and being told off for that, and then the void provided these giant living frigates. They almost seemed friendly too. So even though we've got friendly sentinels, which didn't used to be friendly, it seems to be every enemy inside this game has a friendly side to them. It's a bit of an odd one, but I think that's just what Hello Games is going with. Rather than there being conflict and war, let there be peace and love and unity and all that sort of shenanigans. But at the same time, I do feel that we need a better antagonist than the Sentinels because of their dilution. Now that we've got the autophage actually talking to us, I mean, they are, after all, Sentinel pilots, aren't they? So there we go, chums. That's pretty much all the speculation I have for the out inside of the verse. So there, chums, I am really looking forward to this Halloween. I look forward to every Halloween inside of No Man's Sky's verse. I really do. Mainly because the Halloween updates, rather than them focusing on the core elements of the game, they focus on the spookier side of No Man's Sky. And what that's brought in previous years was the Abyss. So more to do underwater, the base parts for underwater, new sort of weird like enemies underwater, like those eyeball creatures that I mentioned before that pull you in. They gave us reason to go into the oceans as well. You know, they also gave us the Nautilus exocraft. They've given us the Cursed Expedition, the Boundary Herald, and everything that I've touched on inside this video. They've given us derelict freighters to run, and loads of new base parts that were super creepy, a new currency, tainted metal, and the scrap vendor. They give us stuff to do inside of No Man's Sky is where I'm going with this. And I have mentioned many a time, No Man's Sky is as wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle, but it's getting deeper. I feel now that it's like a river or a stream in depth. But every Halloween update has given us more to do inside of No Man's Sky. As a little bit of a side tangent, granted, but at the same time, it always brings us lore. And I really like the lore of No Man's Sky. Oh, we also had Emergence with the worm babbers and all that sort of happen as well around Halloween. So I look forward to the Halloween update as much as I do the anniversary or larger summer updates. The large summer updates, sometimes they seem to be a bit more fragmented and spread across the year. I kind of feel that Hello Games has purposely given us small updates this year because I think the 9th anniversary is going to be fairly large. I think the super large summer update is going to be next year on their 10th anniversary. But I kind of feel that it might be overshadowed slightly because I think Hello Games on their 10th anniversary of No Man's Sky are more likely to release a huge update, well, a huge announcement, I should say. And I think they might announce Light No Fire. Whether they announce it for pre-order or whether they shadow drop it as being actually out there for people to purchase a Kate. I think that hinges on what might happen later this year. I think in December of this year, Hello Games might announce Light No Fire will launch in August of 2026. And I think they might open it up to pre-ordering from December all the way up to the August month of 2026. That's what I think might happen. If that doesn't happen, then I think in August 2026, then they will announce the pre-orders and all that sort of shenanigans. That's what I'm thinking, chums. I mean, I could be wrong, but there we go. That's pretty much everything I've got for you. That's quite apt, isn't it? Ending off with the boundary failure in the background. I think these things have been a long overdue rhyme and reason and functionality. The actual giant portals were in the game right sort of back when, and it took a long time for those portals to become active so we could jump to different systems using glyphs. I feel these things might be as game-changing as what those portals were in running us into the realm of glass and into the void itself to do raids and to bring back better technologies, especially for our living ship. But perhaps even they've done some concept art for some multi-tools, and some of those multi-tools were very organic in look. Some of them looked very fish-like as well for underwater. And some of them look like they were straight out of a horror movie. I mean, we do have some alien multi-tools that look very organic anyway. And I feel that those multi-tools are also another hint towards the organic race that might be coming to fruition in time. And I think Hello Games have had this on the cards and on the table and in their back pocket for a very long time. I've been talking about the Void for ages. If you just type into freaking YouTube, Captain Steve, the Void, you'll see that I was banging on about the Void way before even the Ariadne story arc. So there we go, people, because it's been hinted in the abandoned terminal lore, which I didn't even touch on this video, but I have done a whole playlist on the abandoned lore. I've also got a playlist on the boundary failure lore. I've got so many videos when it comes to the lore of No Man's Sky. In fact, I think I've put together a playlist just on the Void. So if I can find that, I'll put a link up here. I'll put it on the end card of the video. So if that sounds good to you, get ready to go and hit that link on the end screen. Until next time, goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again.